Hello everyone, my name is Artyom Bailekno. I am the CEO of Aquix, and today we have Evgeny Snegiryov as a guest. Greetings, Evgeny. Hello. We gathered today to talk about what we do with water. Because there is a huge number of questions, we decided to sublimate all the information that we have accumulated over 3 years of work, and in order not to constantly answer in chats what we do, how we do, what we mean or don't mean, we decided to prepare such a full-fledged big interview related to our product. So let's start with you and generally give the word. What do we do with water? We have not reinvented a wheel. We purify the water beforehand and then we subject into the electrolysis process. In the process of electrolysis, hydrogen comes out of the cathode. Molecular hydrogen enriches the liquid, water in our case, and then it can be bottled and consumed. Okay. Revising wheels, let's tell you what is happening in the world with hydrogen water. How much is this topic relevant or not relevant at all? Who works with it? Let's give a little historical background. Yes, in general, I started to deal with this issue a little less than a year ago, and in fact, I came across a huge flurry of information. So why do I say that no wheel was reinvented? As it turned out, since 2007, work has been going on just on the properties of water enriched with molecular hydrogen, and the Japanese scientist Tazawa Kenji kicked off this direction. He published a large article in 2007 about effects of water enriched with molecular hydrogen on the body and created the basis for the evidence base that hydrogen can be a natural antioxidant. No one before, well, maybe there were some works, but in academic periodical with high citation rates it was done for the first time in 2007. In general, it was quoted in Nature, then you can see that this is very reliable source, very reliable, and at the moment I have found about 1,500 articles on this topic. These are studies both in vitro and in vivo, and both on laboratory rats and on humans, the effects of hydrogen water in all kinds of diseases. And again, I will say there are studies in Russia, but unfortunately, there are very few of them and there are few publications on this topic. So we are one of the first to start this topic in Russia seriously and extensively. Well, as it is, we are only at the very beginning. We are talking about the approach now. About the approach, yes, believe me, this amount of information is very difficult to process. It's good that Timur is now involved in this case. It's more fun together. I agree, finally. Koreans, Americans, and so on pulled up further there. And at the moment, this is a fairly recognized antioxidant effect of molecular hydrogen. Clinics operate in Japan, in Korea, in Novosibirsk. A clinic, this is again because people are proactive, those who really believed in it, got acquainted with the topic, figured it out. These are doctors, specialties. Yesterday I looked, there is a clinic in Krasnoyarsk, there is also a clinic in Moscow somewhere since 2018. That's conditionally we started digging this topic 15 years ago, let's say since 2015. The topic is essentially fresh from the point of view of the market, right? Yes, if we talk from the point of view of the market and science, and therefore as soon as something new comes out in the market or in science, society is divided roughly in half, some for, others against. And those and other have arguments and so on, therefore I think so. Do you remember when I came to project and said that if this is another deception, then it's not for me, goodbye. Well, since you're here, so far there are suspicions that this is not a hoax, right? There are very broad suspicions that this is not a hoax, and that is why we have moved on to our research. The first stage, if you remember, with Omsk Agrarian University last year, and this year, the first and second stage. The first stage was on plants. We germinated them, determined the toxicity of our water isonium on Paramecium condatum, and on fungus we looked at what effects will be, whether growth activation would occur or vice versa would suppose them. And the research results were given to us, and we immediately agreed with the university staff that we would be satisfied with any results to see, first of all, the real picture for ourselves. The results are not negative nor positive. We were not going to hide or stick out somewhere. We posted these documents on our website. They can be found in PDF. The second stage of research is still underway. 150 rats were purchased from the Novosibirsk Institute, and the isonium was examined on them. They have been drinking water for 2 months, and some groups have been drinking this water for 3 months. That is, they are still drinking this water. In more details, I think we will talk about this later. We will devote a separate episode to this, but at the end of January we will already have the first results. Yesterday I talked with Tatiana Vladimirovna. Now statistics are being proceed, and we will see what happens in the end. So let's go to the consumer's properties already. You said such a great word, antioxidant. Antioxidant, what is it in general? What are we dealing with? The body is quite a complex structure, including biochemical, psychologists, physical, huge combine. Yes, by and large a huge plant, and I say really was not immune to biochemistry units this moment until I had to divide there. It's all hard going, of course, but it's going. The main thing is to have someone to go with. Yes, as they like to ask me, Evgeny, can you explain it easier? These are your formulas, I don't need smart words. No way around it, so let's say that a lot of diseases in the body arise down to the so-called oxidative stress. The mechanism of interesting how this happens. In the system, during our vital activity, we have certain process, including free breathing, in which we have a so-called free radical. What is it in general? Well, this is not a very useful thing. Let's say so-called reactive oxygen species arise in the body. We live with this thing, they are very useful in many ways, but there are reactive oxygen species, just these free radicals, OH compounds that behave very actively. In what way? The fact is that a free radical as compound can attach electrons to itself, roughly speaking, to pick up, yes, to steal, and when free radicals interact with the cell, I am talking now about the base radical, which is there despite the fact that it does not live long in the body. It has a short lifespan, there is a lot of it, and when there is too much of it, oxidative stress begins. This is a variation of cells, and this leads to a domino effects, that is, a failure in the cell will occur, so the whole organism will suffer. In particular, there is already an evidence base, for example, pressure, all kinds of diabetes mellitus type 2. A lot of diseases arise partially because of it. Does this apparently lead to some kind of metabolic disorder, including it? Down to the fact that the body is loaded right. Yes, some sources claim that even DNA can be damaged. Roughly, the radical snatch is part of it. Well, yes, there are some biochemical process going on. Now we can devote a separate episode on this. I think we will do that. Oxidative stress is such a very interesting, big, detailed topic. We are probably more interested in the consequences of this stress and how hydrogen water works with them. The causes of this stress are smoking, alcohol, physical inactivity, the environment, food, really everything. How does molecular hydrogen help? Hydrogen in water exists in the form of a bundle of H2, but since we break it up by electrolysis, separate molecules of each hydrogen appear. Their concentration in water can be created artificially. It is measured in units per million, that is. Specifically in our case, we bring it up to 0.6 to 0.7 ppm, and in Japan, for example, they bring it up to 1.7 and even 3. The problem is that hydrogen is very volatile substance, and hydrogen compounds in the form of molecules is very volatile and quickly leaves the liquid. We did research, if you remember, in an ordinary plastic bottle, where the lid was tightly closed, there is molecular hydrogen for 2-3 days, which we can see. Initially, we look at the concentration of hydrogen. We can see it with the device. We have it. At the end of time, as hydrogen evaporates, we see the so-called redox potential. The redox potential is the difference in the redox pair of hydrogen anion, more precisely to hydrogen anions and hydrogen molecules, that is H+/H2. And there is a difference in the concentration of these substances in water and is shown the redox potential. This is the property of the liquid, in particular water, to participate in reducing process of oxidative. So when redox potential is negative, it suggests that water can participate in reduction processes. About this kind of things happens to water. So in fact, if we summarize all of the above, then we get antioxidants separately, and we have oxidants in the body, and we neutralize them, but at the same time there are oxidants that are needed for the body. What is the balance here? These are not oxidants, these are reactive oxygen species. They participate in metabolic processes, they are important, but excess concentration leads to oxidative stress, and just these are some of the most active free radicals that lead to this stress, and they selectively interact with molecular hydrogen. Again, this is a theory. If you are interested in, we will attach links to Nature. There you can dig into this magazine and see it. Welcome to my world. You can see there indefinitely. Are you studying this as a novel? Yes, like an endless novel. This is the same domino effects. You go, there is a link there, so you dive deeper into the topic, rabbit hole. Yes, a rabbit hole into which you fall, and there is no end, no age. At this time, new articles and studies are published every week again, and we try to make our contribution there. Tatiana Vladimirovna prepares articles and researches on both the first study and the second, and we will also try. Let's summarize everything we said above from the point of view of the end user. What a person gets when he consumes isonium water or any other hydrogen water. No matter we are talking about hydrogen water, what does it do for a person, for his body and his vital functions? To simplify things, We will still have time to deal, but now let's use general words. Let's just say that my colleagues and I have consulted and decided again. I will say that this is a theory. We have only been doing this for 6 months, and from our level we are not the Academy of Sciences. Nevertheless, we have inquisitive mind, yes, and there is some literature on this subject. Scientific articles, again, I say not just articles that can be read in fashion magazine and on the internet. I will also add that we, in addition to theory, have our own internal practice, our own developments, people and the state that we understand through our experience. This can be considered scientific. If there really is a general control group study, then we can clearly say, but at the moment there is a confirmation that water helps with atherosclerosis. And there was a blind study. People drank plain water too, meaning no one knew where the hydrogen water would be. Drank 330 milliliters a day. And after some time they looked at the results. Also with the coronary heart diseases. Water helps, you know yourself. I was suffering from gout, now this effect has passed. I'm waiting. When he's already going to punch in the guts, right? In fact, it has not been there for 6 months, and for me it is suspicious. But although the Japanese at the Kyoto Institute conducted studies on people with rheumatoid arthritis, and there they have everything clearly written out, how it works and why uric acid decreases. If I say that in fact this water restores the metabolism in the body, am I right? No. Let's put it this way. If you draw a horizontal line and consider in the norm of the state of the body is called health. Homeostasis. No, homeostasis is one, and we have health, we have defined it as the normal state of body. And if its deviation is down from this health, it's just our oxidative stress. All sorts of diseases, water is by no means a medicine. It can be used in the form of hydrogen therapy, yes, but it's not a panacea for diseases. It's like a healthy diet. There is a separate studies for diabetics. Diabetes mellitus type 2, and this water is not instead of medicine, but together with them. And if a person gets sick, you have to treat him not to replace the medicine with water. And if you drink this water, there is great suspicion that these diseases it will not occur when you take this water. That is, you initially do not allow oxidative stress to develop, and the body is always on the health line. And the body does not fail further. Well, yes, it does not allow these processes to develop again. This is all such a good theory. It is clear that we are going to talk about subjective things now, so we conducted experiments on blood, its conduction in 15 to 20 minutes. Subjectively, I agree, there are a lot of responses, very positive. What I mean by that is that water acts actually as a saline solution. A person's blood is liquefied, that is what we're talking about, that there are such interesting processes. I have not seen such studies, I have seen what is happening on the microscope. I'm talking about the microscope. We carried out the biochemistry of this process, so we need to investigate further. Let's be honest. Something is happening, and what is happening we need to look specifically at scientific research. Well, by the way, the topic was varicosity. A person has been using water for 3 weeks. It's very interesting. Let's explore. Next year we have a very big plan to assemble a control group in the laboratory. In the Central Clinical Hospital we have already discussed. Here we are negotiation to conduct sets of some stance tests to collect groups on diseases and to study for ourselves what it is. We ourselves are primarily interested in what we are dealing with, why it works this way and not otherwise, and in general why it works, because there is already too much accumulated subjective potential that needs to be translated into objective. Yes, there are things that cannot be hidden. I was originally a skeptic, and now there is a sufficient amount of skepticism. And it's lovely for the ozonium to escape into the stratosphere. Theories of flat Earth and everything else, the water structure are the same. This is also amazing. Some people there are also call it living water. Well, okay. We will not argue in terminology now. Everyone works with the set of information that he understands, and it is called. We are not interested. We are interested in the specific final physical effect that a person receives on his body, because it turns us first of all. Because we ourselves encounter this product every day, and moreover we take it every day. I'm very interested in what will happen to me in a year or two of its use. When I can say for myself that I feel changes in terms of brain function. This is my subjective opinion, it works for me this way. Let's put it this way, the studies that are being conducted in Japan and Korea and have been conducted, they particularly and completely confirm those things that similarly occur in our country as a result of consumption. Well, yes, they are similar, by the way. It's not enough that they similar processes on animals, including Alzheimer's diseases, for example, or Parkinson's. It's very interesting because this is the scourge of our near future. We are getting old and this is a fact. Soon there will be a large number of adult population. I think this topic is relevant and interesting now, and research is being conducted much deeper. We have already switched to people. The practical effect of watching this water in Japan and Korea means there is something there. Well, Evgeny, thank you very much for the brevity. Come again. Next year I think we will please our audience with a lot of information because the topic is interesting not only to us. A community of people is formed around us who are interested in their own health, long life and generally making money on the product because indeed we can say that the installations themselves are expensive and the entry their hold is quite expensive now. That is a fact. We have researched the market, this is a lot of money, so the topic that we have chosen is to take the device and get the product less expensive price. Such a business model I have not seen anywhere else in access. Truly wonderful business model, but it has nothing to do with science, but it is very healthy in fact. Very cool and interesting. Yeah, see you again, bye bye to everyone.